order paper in the name of Simon Bridges, then that would be even more greatly appreciated. So, Mr Chairman, that's the only question I want to ask, and I look forward to hearing from the Minister.
Catherine Delahunty.
Mr Chair, I would support my colleague's call for clarity. I think Part 5 is another example of changes that are allegedly technical, but the submitters really struggled. For them, there was a fear that, once again, changes were being made in order to privilege Cabinet over the Minister or over Order in Council over proclamation. And again, people didn't know why. There wasn't a rationale for changing this. Now, the Wildlife Act 1953, which was the year I was born, has been functioning for a very long time. It's there to protect some of the most amazing wildlife in the world. If you look at the Auckland Islands, Zealandia, Kapiti Island, Hotudu, some of these places are not Wildlife Act reserves, but some of them are. And what people want to know is what's going on, why are we changing this, what's the point, how can we trust? The whole issue with the Crown Minerals Act is because of the purpose, other parts being so clearly about privileging one industry. People are, at the Select Committee hearings, were deeply distrustful of other changes, and they were not satisfied with superficial rationales about Part 5. They were not convinced that wildlife would be protected any more than reserves or other parts of the DOC estate, other areas that have been set aside before by many, many people, years of hard work to protect them. They weren't satisfied and they weren't clear. And I don't think the Select Committee process made it any clearer, and it's unfortunate that my colleagues' questions were not answered. We don't have clarity. No one seems prepared to say why is it better to treat the Wildlife Act provisions in this way. Why is it better to change the provisions in Part 4 and 5? And people could argue that we should just trust the government knows what it's doing, but given the SOP, given the rest of this bill, given this week in Parliament, I don't think anybody feels like trusting that the best is being done. And I think legislation that is obscure, arcane, difficult to understand and unclear to people after the Select Committee process, those of us who were there, if we still don't see why, and we've been through this process, because with the officials doing their best, the government didn't come clean about its agenda, we get this kind of confusion, we get this kind of concern. And so I just wanted to stand up and say that this bill has been dogged by the myth that it's just technical and administrative changes when it's a fundamental shift in values. And the government has misread the values of this country. We do not privilege minerals over all else. We want proper law, proper regimes that actually create fairness and protection for sustainable things. And that has not happened. This bill has gone the other way, and so there is no trust around Part 5. There is no trust around any of the rest of it. And I think the SOP on Easter Sunday, the Petrobras, the burning of the bridges, was the classic example. Thank you very much, Mr Chair.
Members, we call Andrew Little.
Mr Chair, I just want to take a brief call on this part of the Crown Minerals Permitting Crown Land Bill and the amendments to the Wildlife Act, because, Mr Speaker, that